right now is what we stayed up last night to watch, Hunter, is NBA Finals.
Yeah.
Game 4.
Yes.
And I just want to, again, go. I'll tell you what. Hunter, give me your synopsis from last night's games, and then we'll move over to Terry, and I'll join you guys in there in just a moment.
From last night's game, well, I actually took screenshots of some statistics I pulled up from last night's game. Terry might have them as well. The one that stuck out to me the most, though, was turnovers. Toronto only had 9 turnovers. That's still almost 10. That's quite, I mean, some would say that's a lot. Golden State had 17 turnovers. Now, I didn't get the stat on how many of those turnovers Toronto was able to turn into points. But I remember seeing one where Kyle Lowry was able to get the steal on a pass and take it down and pass it into Siakam. Siakam was fouled, of course, by Boogie Cousins, but even still, that was a breakaway. It might as well have just, they gave it, at the line, he hit both free throws, but those are points there off of the turnover. Mm-hmm. To me, it was literally the tale of two halves. In the first half, everything was going the Warriors' way. That's why they had the lead at halftime, but they were only up by 4. It was very, very slim. Toronto had nothing to hang their hat on. That's what the halftime group said. For them to only be down 4, as bad as they were shooting in the first half, that's perfectly fine. So turnovers, I think, was a big deal. 17 for Golden State to Toronto's 9, and it was a tale of two halves. But here's the thing, really, to me. Bench scoring made a huge difference. You got 20 off of the bench from Serge Ibaka for Toronto. Not only that, they had some decent scoring all around for Toronto. That's what hurt Toronto in the first half. I didn't think the complementary players that were on that team were stepping up as much as Kawhi Leonard was stepping up.
Well, when we talk about who won, you talk about the scoring off the bench in that game. I want to jump back to the game before when they won. Mm-hmm. The scoring from the starters, not named when Steph was out there by himself, and Terry's hero. Yeah. The scoring from the starters in that game was 72, other than Kawhi Leonard for the Raptors, and it was 32 other than Steph Curry for the Warriors in that game.
And Steph Curry was great, but he just didn't have enough.
7 points and. But
the second half, to me, really, from last night's game, this is just wrap up my synopsis of last night's game, was that Toronto's bench and their complementary players did start to play. Siakam started to play a little bit better. You got double-digit, I think, or close to double-digit assists from Kyle Lowry. They didn't have as many turnover problems as they did. Kyle Lowry, he was close. He had 7 assists. So you were getting all these players to really start gelling and starting to get going that they couldn't do in the first half. And for them to do that against a team that was really dominant in the first half. They looked like old Warriors. Even Klay Thompson with his little hamstring injury, he didn't look played by it at all. He even led the Golden State Warriors in scoring last night with 28. So to me, it was literally the tale of two halves. First half, all Warriors, they're playing Warriors basketball. Second half, the Warriors get out of Warriors basketball. The defense steps up for Toronto, and Toronto's bench plays a whole lot better than the Golden State Warriors did.
So Terry and Hunter, I want to toot my own horn again a little bit here. Called this for the season, Raptors, baby. I didn't say they'd win the championship because I thought Kevin Durant would be on the floor. The thing about and what we're seeing here, and is the theme of what we talk about in basketball a lot, Terry, with and the example I was getting at in Game 3 with Curry's 47 points. Yeah. He was spectacular in Game 3, right? They lost. Mm-hmm. Last night, not so much. 9 of 22, 27 points. He had help from Klay. But the thing about it is that when you lead and score is the point guard, and that 47 points kind of shows that it's really tough to win basketball games that way. Westbrook has been doing it over years, and we say this all the time. For you folks listening or watching today, only 3 times in NBA history has a point guard led his team in scoring in the finals and won a championship. Steph did it once, the first one. Isaiah did it once. Magic did it once. That's it. No one else. So we've got all these wonderful, great point guards over these years, and the point guard position is probably the deepest position in the NBA.
It is.
But it is so tough to win that way because of that guy's the ball that brings up the court. That's the guy that instigates the offense. And it's worked so good over the years because Draymond does instigate a lot. Iggy instigates a lot. And they'll run Steph and Klay off those screens. So Steph being the only one. Then when he was out there Tuesday by himself, you could totally see that's Westbrook ball. That's what Westbrook's had to do, but he's shooting instead of taking it to the rack. So that's what he's had to do.
This also isn't the same Warriors team as it has been in the past. And I'm not talking about the injury problems. Because Boogie Cousins is out there literally on one thigh because he tore his dang thigh muscle literally about a month ago. Klay Thompson I'm not talking about Klay Thompson's hamstring because he still scored 28. They are not as deep as they have been in the years they've won the championship. They've been able to go to their bench when they need to, give guys a rest, maybe keep one of their star players out there. They are not. There's no depth on this bench at all.
It's not that they don't need, real quick, Terry, it's the first championship they won. It's not that they don't need Kevin Durant's 35 points a game. They need 20 points in defense out of a small forward position. That's what Harrison Barnes did. So that's the position he filled where they could still win a championship. Durant scoring up to 35 points a game is just gravy on the boat, which means Klay and Steph scoring less.
And he's not a bad defender because he's 7 foot tall.
But you're getting a 7 foot tall defender on the court, and she also, and watch what. And I want to send this to Terry for a minute. Really, what I wanted to ask you, just watching Kawhi. I'm not saying he's as good as him. He's playing 90s basketball right now. He's playing at Jordan, Kobe, one-on-one basketball to where he's getting to whatever spot he wants. And there was one spot last night they got down. They were down there early, 10, 12 points. He took it in the lane, Terry, stopped, pivoted, and just did a fadeaway in the lane. And whoever was guarding him was all over him, but his hand, they showed his shot was another foot above him. So he knew he'd get that. That's what I mean by the Jordan and Kobe, where I'm going to get to my spot, I'm going to take my shots, and you guys are going to stop me. They held him to 92 points last night. That team averaged 118 on the season, Terry. Kawhi, does he not remind you of some of that type of basketball? And also the defense that they're playing, and then back again to anything else you want to kind of elaborate on that?
Well, I do when I'm looking at the series, and last night's game, 105-92, and you had Kyle Lowry 3 out of 12. You had Green 1 out of 8.
Yeah.
And they still won by 13, and
92 points.
So, in the first half, we sat there and Toronto could not hit nothing, and they could not expand the lead. They run it to 13, but when you have a chance to put the game away, you have to, and they did not. They kept letting them stay around. Then they go to halftime, and I'm like, Hunter, and even have all them people on television, for them to only be down by 4, you're still in the game.
Yeah.
They gave you every opportunity. Then when you come out in the third quarter, Kawhi did his thing. He just said, I'm going to do my thing against you. Now, Kawhi is not a Michael Jordan. I cannot never put him on that same level. Is he a good player? He's one of my top 10, I would say, right now of all time.
Of all time already?
Of all time is where I'd put him. Because I think he's that good. He can take over a game, Kawhi.
Kawhi's got that switch.
Yeah,
he's got that switch. He doesn't. If he doesn't have to, he's not going to.
Player ever or top 10?
Well, the reason I'm saying this because I've seen him do this twice. Against Philadelphia, Kawhi basically just took over the game. Give me the ball.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was asking about. Like that's what I mean. And these kids haven't seen in a while. Is when you go to any park, any backyard, that's how basketball was played. If I'm the best player on the court, I do all the moves that Kawhi's doing, all the moves that Jordan's doing. Now, yes, it's a very miniature version of it, not getting high and everything. But if I'm the best player on the court, I take over the game.
People haven't seen this type of play, and that's why they've been comparing Kawhi to him right now since Kobe. Kobe was probably the last true one-on-one ball player that we've seen, but until Kawhi. But like I said, Kawhi's got that switch. If he doesn't have to take over, he's not going to.
Everybody tried to beat the Warriors their style. And for years, I've been saying, I have not, Terry, I've said on the show, you can't beat them at their style. Whatever they do best doesn't mean you have to beat them that way, because Steph Curry is a different animal.
He beats them inside
because he gets so deep. And here's the thing: without that small forward on the floor, if Clay and Curry get hot, yeah, they can beat you and they can outshoot you. But if one of them is not, then is it not easier to guard the 3-point line, Terry, without the Durant or the Harrison Barnes at the slide? Because you have no threat right now inside that 3-point line. Even with Clay out there, the Raptors are like, well, there is no threat, right? I mean, we can. If Draymond takes us to the hole or Iguodala takes the hole, we'll take our chances one-on-one. Boogie is tough to deal with.
But even Boogie right now is hobbled.
And he's hobbled, yeah.
He's hobbled. It's not 100% Boogie. Kevon Looney last night is playing
in the lane.
Yeah.
Is that not what I think's hurting this team now?
Injuries?
No, I'm not going to say injuries. Yeah, for sure.
I was
talking about the long pace of the last 5 seasons for Golden State. They've been to the championship.
Oh, they've gone the
That's
distance.
What I'm saying. And when you start looking
goes.
at them compared to Toronto with way less fresh legs than what Golden State's had to produce year after year after year after year.
Well, even Kawhi has had more rest this year.
Yeah, once you get to the 5th time, and now we've got Thompson's injury. We had Cousins that was injured, which he wasn't in that span of all these guys. Now you got Durant. I mean, you know what I'm saying?
I still don't think
it's just a long period.
Durant's playing.
I don't think he is either.
And they just ain't
I think what Chris Carter said on First Things First was spot on. He said, I think this is a tear in his calf. He said there's no way a strain. There's no way a strain keeps you out almost a whole month from basketball. Usually some people, for God's sakes, Clay almost pulled his dang hamstring, and he went out there and played.
They wrapped him
2 or 3 days game, 3 games later.
It just seems like it was last week where Durant got hurt. It has been.
I know. It's been a month or so. It's been almost 2 whole series.
Well, I like the thing that they put up there when they showed Thompson, and it was like he's played in like 121 playoff games, and that's the first game he's ever missed.
Yeah.
From all accounts, everyone says Klay Thompson's a warrior, and he's going to be out there. He missed a regular season game one time for an injury. He apologized to his team after the game. So
this
Klay Thompson,
this team, I don't want this championship because I believe the Raptors win this next game and take it home. They're going back to Toronto. I think they win on their home floor in Toronto. I don't want this championship to have an asterisk next to it, though, where people say it's just because the Golden State Warriors were injury prone. And I feel like that's what it's going to be. Because I know Kevin Durant makes a big difference, but if Klay Thompson does not have that little hamstring pull, that's just as good of a lineup I'm looking at right now. Curry, Thompson, Cousins, Iguodala, and Draymond Green than the ones they had where they beat the Cavaliers and won it. That's just as good of a lineup. Even DeMarcus Cousins can go out there and get you 20.
Iggy's hurt too. That's what I'm saying. This reminds you of an NFL Super Bowl matchup where you're getting down to who's the healthiest a lot of times because it's been,
And Kawhi's not going to get hurt. He's had so many extra days of rest this season. I would not be surprised if other teams model themselves with their star players after what Kawhi's doing. He's made it this long. He's got 14 games with 30-plus points, and I think he's going to get the record for 15 in the next game.
Do you not think that's what's going to happen there? And just what you said, people are going to complain about this NBA championship being Golden State was hurt if they lose it. I mean, it's like the Washington Redskins last year when you had to keep putting, and all of a sudden we're taking defensive guys offense to play the line.
We had a lot of potential and we just kept getting hurt. And then just like us Redskins, how we lost our key player in Alex Smith, horribly, of course, they lose one of their nucleus players in Kevin Durant. But I don't know. I don't want this to be an asterisk, but I know it probably is going to be because. But I mean, they'll never take the championship away from Toronto at all. Of course, I mean, you can't. They won it fair and square, but it was against, people will always say, a hobbled, a not full strength Golden State team. But I think this is a good thing though for the NBA that the Golden State Warriors don't win it. And I think the series has been better without Kevin Durant in it.